If you're struggling with your hair growth journey, this video is for you. Welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be taking you through a weekly routine that will help you grow your hair faster. Now let's dive deep into it. Firstly, I'm going to start by making a pre-poo treatment that I'm going to be using to detangle my hair. I'm going to be using flaxseed for this process, and just like that, I'm going to add a generous amount, and then I'm going to add maybe half of this thing with water, and then I'm going to boil it for about 10 minutes. If you do not have what I'm using, you can just use a regular pot. My reason for using this is just because I don't have a strainer, so it makes things a lot more easier, because you definitely need to separate the gel from the seeds. Just like that, it's all ready. Now let's get down to it. My hair is still in this kind of protective hairstyle, and I definitely need to take it down. And now I'm just going to take you through on how to properly take down a protective hairstyle, most importantly twist without causing tangles. You know that normally when you take down twists, especially at the ends, you're most likely to rip them off when you're actually taking them down. So this is a step-by-step process on how to properly take down the twist without actually ripping off your hair. You firstly need to make sure that your hair is wet, just so that it's more smoother and easier to work with your hair, and just to make detangling a lot more easier. Now with each and every twist as I take down, I'm just going to do it slowly and gently, and also make sure that I finger detangle every twist as I take down, just one small tiny section at a time. This way it's going to help to minimize tangles, and also it's going to help me not to get frustrated in the process, because if we're being honest, fussy hair can be overwhelming at times, so we need to put that into consideration, just so that we work with the reality of working with tightly coiled hair. And what causes a lot of shedding in this process is that normally when you take down your hair, you just maybe spray your hair with water if that's what you do, and then you take down. But if you do not finger detangle and go straight with using a comb, your hair is going to shed like crazy. And because you think that, okay, maybe you do not feel pain while that was happening, you think maybe that was normal, that was the normal breakage that's supposed to happen, but it's not like that. When you start experiencing excessive breakages and things like that, just know that you're doing something wrong. And also, if you've been detangling your hair dry, let's start with that one. If you're someone that just detangles their hair, however, you just take an afro comb and you start yanking your hair and detangling like that, your hair is going to break. There is no other way. Your hair is going to break in chunks, and the pain that is going to come with that, you're definitely going to hate fussy hair. And not because it's difficult, but because you don't know how to be patient and gentle with it enough. And that is what I'm saying. All of the steps, make sure that you're gentle enough with your hair. And when you start these routines, let it be at the day where you mostly feel like it, okay? Because now, for example, now I'm doing this section, right? And then I start to finger detangle. You realize that it's possible that you can create a knot like this. What are you going to do? You're just going to pull it apart, and that is going to rip off the ends of your hair. Instead, when you're working patiently, you're just going to make sure that you work very nicely with that knot, and just like that, it separates so easily. And that is what happens when it comes to like breaking off the ends and the ends thinning, is because when it comes to the ends, we're so harsh to the point where now we start thinking, oh, the ends are damaged, they need a trim. How about we focus on not damaging the ends in the first place? Now I'm done taking down the twist, and the finger detangling doesn't do enough work. We need to properly detangle, and this is where now this process comes in. I'm just going to work into thicker sections, but also work with one section at a time. And for this process, it's where I'm going to start using flaxseed, because now a comb is involved. So you need to make sure that not only is your hair damp, but it's also very slippery. This is to also make sure that you're going to minimize the tangles and breakage as much as possible. This is what's important when it comes to length retention. Now my hair was drying out, and I needed to hydrate it a bit more, and then after that, now I can start applying the flexi gel to that section and making sure that it's all in before I start detangling. And there is no limit whatsoever to how much flexi gel you can actually apply to your hair. If you feel like while you're applying a certain amount is not enough, apply as much as possible. You definitely need your hair to be that slippery, okay? And also another good thing about this product is the fact that it's water-based, so applying a lot more doesn't actually disadvantage you when it comes to rinsing out, because it's just going to be a lot more easy to rinse out regardless. So now after all applying, I'm going to finger detangle, and then now I'm gonna go with the wide tooth comb. This is the kind of comb that I'm using to detangle my hair, and then I'm going to be detangling from the tips to the roots. If you're using any comb thinner like this, you need to throw it away. You need to use it something as thick as possible when it comes to your hair. You definitely don't need to be using all the detangling brushes. It's not going to make your hair any more detangled better. Instead, it's just going to break your hair a lot more. So this is the best option, and trust me, after using a wide tooth comb, you still feel that your hair is properly detangled, okay? And after all the detangling with each and every smaller section, I'm going to put that section into a twist. If your hair is still a little bit more small and you can't put it in twist, it's still okay, because when the hair is shorter, it's less likely to get tangled. So this is the best way to go for if you have much longer fuzzy hair. This way is just going to make sure that the hair doesn't tangle back after it's been detangled. And also at the same time, when you're doing this on wash day, it makes it a lot more easier for you to now access your scalp when you start washing, because when you start shampooing, you don't need to be working in the way of so much hair that is not in twist, because it's just going to tangle up, and after all the shampooing, you're just going to feel like you did not do any detangling at all. Now let's go back to using oil-based product to detangle. For example, you're using hot oil treatment, you're using butters to detangle, or you're using your hair masks where you put like castor oils and shea butters in there. Trust me, those things are going to cause a lot more buildup in your scalp, and you're going to wonder, I'm doing all the right steps in hair care. Why is it not working for me? Why is my hair growth not improving? And that is because the scalp is more clogged. So now when you start shampooing, you're shampooing but still adding a lot more product on that. The shampoo is also not doing enough. It's not properly washing the scalp, because there's actually so much oil to work with and so much dirt to work with. So everything is trapping each other, and it's so hard to work with that. So when it comes to oil, mask that has oils, things like that, let it be that maybe you do it a day before wash day, just so that it settles in and it's not too much when now it's day to wash your hair, and everything becomes a lot more easier. So here are a few remedies to try out for pre-poo treatment when it comes to detangling. If you do not have access to flaxseed gel, you can try aloe vera gel, or maybe you can just do, those protein treatments where you use avocado, things like that. They're so much easier to wash off. So just opt for things like that when it comes to detangling your hair, and just make sure that it's something that it's a lot more easier to wash off when you start shampooing your hair. And believe me, your wash day is going to go a lot more easier, and not even a part of it is going to be stressful. And another thing is that if you really want to grow your hair longer and healthier, learn to do your own hair by yourself. Familiarize your hands with your hair. Learn to know how to properly detangle, how to properly wash, how to condition, how to do protective hairstyle on your own. You can never go wrong with those. You know how your hands feel. You know how your hair feels. You know how it reacts when you touch it a certain way. That way you're going to see a lot more improvement in your hair. Just try limiting as much as possible to go into salons, because for me, I have the worst salon experiences ever. I once went with an afro, and believe me, the first thing they did is to get a very thin comb and a hair dryer just to work on my hair. Imagine that kind of experience. That time my hair is dry, is not that moisturized. You can imagine the pain that I felt. But the moment I realized that I can actually start doing the hair on my own, and afro hair is not that hard to actually take care of, I just realized that, you know what, I can actually do this, and I believe that you can also do it. And this is my third try with afro. The first try ended with relaxing. The second try, I just got tired of it, and then I chopped it off because I had no idea how to take care of afro, and I thought, you know what, the easier way is either to cut or just to relax. But this is how our hair looks like. We can never run away from it. Even though you go to relaxing, you're just going to keep on running there for as long as you can imagine. And this is just the reality of things. things. 4C hair is just going to catch up with you. So it's very much important that you know how to properly take care of your own natural hair. And believe me, it's not that hard. It's not that difficult. Just once you get the hang of it, you set up the routines, stick to them, everything is going to be a lot more easier and a lot more smoother. And after all the detangling, this is how my comb looks like, and this is the amount of hair that came out. And just like that, follow the steps that I've showed you. And also you will see that you will start having little to no breakage. Now that all the detangling is done, we're going straight into shampooing. And for this process, I'm going to start by wetting my hair before I apply the shampoo, just so that it's so much easier for the shampoo to actually lather in my hair. But because there was so much flaxseed in it, so I just wanted to make sure that I actually minimize the amount of product that I'm going to be working with. So I washed off a little bit of it just before I started shampooing. And for this process, I'm going to start by shampooing my hair while it's still in twists like this. Mainly, I'm going to shampoo twice. Mainly, the first part is just to focus on the scalp. And I'm going to be using a scalp massager to actually scrub my scalp and make sure that I get rid of all that dirt. If you do not have a scalp massager, just use your fingers and actually just start cleansing your scalp. It's also going to work very well. This process is just to make sure that we got all the dirt from the scalp, because that is where the hair growth starts. So you need to make sure that you actually have a clean environment for the hair to actually start growing. And believe it or not, dirty hair doesn't grow. I know we had the mindset that we need to wash your hair maybe once a month and that's more than enough. You feel like if you're washing it a lot more, you're manipulating your hair, you're abusing it. But the hair that is dirty, it's not happy. You need to keep on washing your hair. Do it maybe like once a week. And if you're very busy at most, do it maybe like at least after every 2 weeks. And just like that, your scalp will be happy, your hair will be happy. And also when you now moisturize the hair that is properly cleaned, the hair absorbs good moisture and it can actually retain moisture in your hair. And when you shampoo your hair, do it twice. The first shampooing is just to focus mainly on your scalp. And the second shampooing is just to make sure that you actually got all the excess dirt out of your hair. And for this process, if you feel like you're not having enough strength, you can just do it while your hair is still in twists. But for me, I prefer taking down the twists because I have a feeling that there's still a bit more dirt that is actually still trapped in between the twists. So when I start shampooing for the second time, it actually satisfies me. So if you also feel like you're not doing enough and you want to do more, you want to cleanse your hair more, you can also take down the twists. And also when you now start shampooing, make sure that you're pulling your hair as you shampoo, just to make sure that you're not causing any more tangles. Because if instead of doing this, now you're going to start by massaging your hair and all of that, you're just going to cause a lot more tangles. And that is what I'm saying. If this is not something that you can do, keep your hair in twists and continue shampooing your hair while it's like that. And then after all the shampooing, I'm just going to rinse out my hair properly. And then I'm going to wipe with the shirt because it doesn't rip off my hair compared to when you're using a towel. A shirt is a lot more gentle, okay? Just try using a shirt and you can never go wrong with that. So now I'm just going to get my hair out of the water. And while all the excess water is coming out, I'm going to start preparing the hair mask with a deep conditioner. And for this process, I'm just going to add a deep conditioner to a container like this. And then I'm just going to add a spoonful of moringa powder. And into that, I'm also going to add rosemary water because I also like the benefit of it. So if you don't have access to rosemary, you can just use regular water, just a tiny bit of it, just to make sure that everything mixes together nicely. And just like that, it's a ready mask and I can start applying it to my hair. And for this process, I'm just going to start by sectioning my hair so that I can work with one section at a time. And this mask is basically to improve the hair health overall, helps to strengthen the hair, and also at the same time it helps to improve the elasticity, and hence I'm using the deep conditioner in it. So the adding of rosemary water is just to add more benefits to the hair strengthening. Hence I'm saying if you don't have access to it, moringa powder will just be enough. It will just do the trick. And now to apply this mask onto the hair, you're just going to work with smaller sections. I know know you can just do 4 blocks and then you just apply it like that, but it doesn't actually get to the middle parts of your hair. And for this treatment, you don't want it to go to waste. You actually saw what actually went in, and you know the products are not easy to get, so you definitely need them to actually work into your hair. So you're definitely going to work with smaller sections like this. If you have more strength than I do, please go smaller with the sections. And again, if your hair is still a lot more short, don't worry about sectioning your hair, because definitely the product is going to get to every part of your hair. But if you have longer hair, go smaller with the sections. Apply the treatment. Make sure that it gets everywhere. Apply all of it. The one that you mix, apply all of it to your hair. It's definitely going to help you so much in your hair. And also keep in mind, this is a deep conditioner, so you definitely don't want to keep it longer than an hour in your hair, because it's going to over soften your hair, and by doing that, your hair is most likely going to get a lot more soft, and then it's going to break. So you definitely need to make sure that after you apply it, after 30 minutes or so, you're just going to rinse out. And believe me, just 30 minutes is all it takes on every wash day, on every week routine, to help you with hair strengthening and elasticity. It's way more than enough. And also, when it comes to beneficial herbs like moringa powder, rosemary, all of those things like this, it's very important that you use them after shampooing instead of a pre-poo treatment before you shampoo. After all the shampooing, your hair is now free, the pores are open. It's so much easier for the hair to actually absorb the nutrients that these herbs are actually giving to your hair. So doing it like this after all the shampooing is a great benefit into the hair. And also, when it comes to product like moringa powder, using it with a deep conditioner is very best, or maybe just using it with water is also very best, because it's so easier to wash off like this. It's that kind of herb that if you use with oils and things like that, it's not going to be easier to wash out. So this is the best way to use it to your hair. It's going to give all the benefits, and also at the same time, it's going to be a lot more easier to wash out. Now I'm just going to apply all the excess treatment on there, and I'm going to leave the treatment in my hair for about 30 to 40 minutes. Now while the treatment is still working in my hair, let me take you through on how I make my hair growth oil. This was a request that you wanted to see how I make my DIY hair growth oil. Basically, it's just sugar powder. I measure it with its cup like this. You can just use a spoon. It's the same measurement, and then you can just put that in there, and then you're going to follow with castor oil, just a beautiful amount like that. And then after pouring the castor oil all in, the next product that I'm going to add will be olive oil, extra virgin olive oil if you have that, best. But even though you have just ordinary olive oil, you're just going to add everything all together like that. Make sure that it's a generous amount, and then I'm just going to stir it and make sure that I mix everything all together. And just like that, I have the perfect oil, and I'm going to let it sit for about, after 2 weeks it's ready for use. But honestly, for me, I keep them a lot more longer, because during this process I just have an oil that I filled, and then this one I allow it to sit. And you can see this was the one that actually sat for about a few months. You can see that it got darker, so it actually a lot more better. I love them like this. So even for this one, if you're just beginning to make it, after 2 weeks, it's ready for use. But for me, I'm just going to keep them a little bit more longer until my current oil runs out. And then that's when I'm going to do a refill. So just like that, I'm just going to cover it, and then I'm going to let it sit away. And then just like that, I'm just going to store it, and I'm all done. And also, if I'm making things like shea butter, after this, I just melt unrefined shea butter, add this treatment, whip everything together, and just like that, it's also ready for use. Now that all this is done, let's go back to rinsing the hair. The treatment has already worked in my hair, and then I'm going to start by rinsing out my hair while it's still in twists like this. This is to make sure that I get as much product as possible out of my hair, because I actually need the deep conditioner to actually get out of my hair completely. And then after all the rinsing, I'm going to take down the twist, because I feel like for this process, it's very much necessary that you actually take down the twist for proper rinsing, because you don't want to be having deep conditioner that is still stuck in between the twists. So you definitely need to rinse out your hair as much as possible, just to make sure that it's all cleaned out and very nice. And just like that, you're done rinsing. I'm going to rinse my hair, get it out of the water. And now for the final process, after all of this, we're going to moisturize. And just after the conditioning process alone, this is how smooth my hair is. And you can actually see that it's not as dry as when I showed you how my hair was looking like after just shampooing. So this process is very much needed. Now for the moisturizing process, I'm going to start by sectioning my hair just so that I work with one smaller section at a time. And for this process, I'm going to be using what we call the LCO method, which means I'm going to be working with wet hair. And then I'm going to apply the butter, meaning now I'm going to moisturize damp hair. This way the moisture stays locked in my hair for like throughout the week, or maybe in most cases I only need to moisturize my hair maybe twice in a week. After then, I'm going to apply the travel oil to my hair on the hair that is already moisturized with the butter. So this is going to lock the moisture in my hair a lot more, and my hair is going to stay moisturized enough. And the final detangling is just to make sure that my hair stays in a smooth, manageable state throughout. And then after doing that, I'm going to put my hair into it like this. This is going to be my protective hairstyle for the week, and just like that, I'm going to allow my hair to be. And also at the same time, the main reason why I went for this protective hairstyle is because I'm working with smaller sections, and the sections are actually like separating. So it's going to be a lot more easier for me to now come in and now oil my scalp during the week. And it's also going to be a lot more easier for me to moisturize my hair while it's also under a protective hairstyle like this. And the worst way to ever moisturize 4C hair on its own like that is just moisturizing your hair all at once. Just for your hair, just all at once like that. You go with the butter, you start massaging while you're moisturizing. I believe you know what I'm talking about. It's like taking a product and then you start moisturizing your hair at once, getting your fingers in there. That is just going to cause a lot more tangles. And now when you detangle your hair, your hair is going to break a lot more, because after all the detangling, after all the shampooing, after all the steps that you've taken, at the end you decide to moisturize your hair all at once while massaging it, you're going to tangle your hair a lot more. And that is also going to cause your hair to tangle up a lot more, to create a lot more knots, and your hair is going to break a lot more. So you need to be as gentle with it as possible. And these sections when you moisturize are very much important, whether you're going to do an African threading protective hairstyle, or whether you're going to do flat twists, or whether you're doing twists like this. It's very much important that you start moisturizing your hair while it's in sections. If you don't feel like you don't have the strength for the amount of sections that I'm doing, you can start with maybe doing 4 sections on all of your hair at the time. And just like that, as time goes by, you get used to it, you get the hang of it, and just like that, you just graduate to doing your hair a lot more with more patience and a lot more gentleness. And 4C hair loves heavy moisturizing. When you're moisturizing your hair, stay away from leave-in conditioners. I know you feel like it's moisturizing your hair, but normally after moisturizing your hair, just a wind a little bit like that, it's gone. Your hair is back to drying. When you're moisturizing 4C hair, when you now moisturize, use things like shea butter to moisturize, castor oils to moisturize. Just those are the best products you can ever find when it comes to moisturizing your hair. Especially if your hair is tightly coiled, you definitely need to go heavy with the moisturizing. And now this comes to when, now after the wash day has passed by, now is the reality of how do you now take care of your hair during the week. When it comes to oiling your scalp, now this is where it comes to, you need to moisturize your scalp enough, but also don't overdo it. When it comes to oiling your scalp, it's good to make sure that your scalp doesn't get dry, right? But now when you oil your scalp, make sure that you do it in such a way that your hair is like properly oiled, but also at the same time you don't overwhelm it. Do not oil your scalp every day, because that way the oil is going to be too much on your scalp. It's going to trap in a lot more dirt. So that is something that you do not want. And also at the same time, you don't want to under oil your scalp, because it's going to get dry, and most likely in its defensive state, you're going to start having dandruff. So the best way to go about it, oil your scalp maybe like twice in a week, 2 to 3 times in a week. It's more than enough. Just like that, your hair is going to be smooth, your scalp is going to be happy, happy, and your hair is just going to grow a lot more better. And just like that, repeat this routine every week and you will have the best hair results. Your hair will start growing so well, and overall the health of your hair will improve.